make sure that Robert gets true justice and the people of Texas and that Nikki get true justice. And we need another case. And so, yes, there are people in power that can make this decision. We are a bipartisan group, much bigger than the four that are represented here. We are a bipartisan group that have taken the time to look at this case and realize there is way too many questions to be answered. So we call on our leaders that have the power to take that same time to look at this case and fight for justice and fight for what's right and fight for the 31 million Texans that this action will be done on their behalf. Let's get it right. Let's go back to the drawing board and let's look at this case. And so I just want to share from our time, and I know Representative Leach and Bowers too will want to share a few comments as well, that this is a man that has not lost his hope, has not lost his faith, has only grown stronger as he sees people fight for the system and as he shares his story and his story gets talked about and we talk about Nikki's life and as he also works with other people that he is in prison with about their life and their faith and their hope and hopes to be a leader for other people to help make sure that the justice system works for all. So let's all keep Robert's faith and keep his hope over the next 8 days, knowing that good can come. As we have seen in the past, good has come from the hard work and actions of individuals like our colleagues, especially the actions of Representative Moody and Leach for the last time. So I want to bring them up and then we'll want to take some more questions as well.
Yeah, let me, so I'm State Representative Jeff Leach from Collin County, north of Dallas. I've obviously been active along with my colleagues here and so many other legislative colleagues over the past year. It's really been over a year now, but today was the first chance I actually had to meet and shake hands with and hug Robert Roberson. And there's a big part of me that doesn't want to be in front of you speaking now because I honestly am speechless. The hour we just spent with Mr. Roberson was in many ways encouraging to see someone's faith lived out like that. If anyone has a right to be angry and mad at the system, at the Lord, it's him, and he's not. We asked him, he said, "Are you ready to die?" He said, "I don't want to, but I'm ready." And one of the things that has troubled me the most about this case, and I'm even more troubled with it now after Robert just told me, looking at me in the eyes, that Robert's side of the story has not been told. To my legislative colleagues and to those who still hold the power to determine his fate and to stay his execution, I want to remind you that the four of us, that Robert's attorneys, all we're asking for is a pause button and a new trial so that Robert's case can be told. To my legislative colleagues on the other side of this issue who want to see him executed next week and believe that nothing went wrong with the trial and that all of the evidence has been heard by a jury, I would ask them to comment on the fact that even Robert's own attorney at trial, and Robert just told us this, when Robert asked to be heard, when Robert asked to go in front of the jury to tell him his side of the story and to tell them that I'm innocent, his attorney wouldn't let him. His attorney wouldn't let him. And so in a new trial, all of the evidence will come out. Robert's side of the story will be able to be told. How does that harm the system? How does that weaken the system? It doesn't. It doesn't. Doing that strengthens the system and will save what I believe is an innocent life in Robert Roberson. What a blessing it was to just spend an hour with him, and I'm hopeful and prayerful that the right thing will happen between now and next Thursday.
Thank you. I'm State Representative Retta Andrews Bowers out of Dallas County, representing House District 113. And I don't have much, but I just want to say that it's never too late to make a wrong right. And meeting with Robert today, after, as we said, it's been a year for us, some of us, a year or more for our colleagues that have been working and advocating for him and fighting to save his life. And so as a state, we need to be ready to not be too big to say when we're wrong, to be big enough to say that, hey, maybe we made a mistake here. Robert talked about his relationship with the lead investigator and what great friends they are now, because he could say, hey, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe we need to give this another shot and really let all the evidence be shed on all the evidence and let him have a new trial. And that's one of the things that he asked for in there. He's ready for that. He's ready. He talked about his innocence in there. And it was nothing like after a year's time to hear him say, we fought hard to get him in the Capitol, but we know that we had to come here to hear him. We had to come to Robert to hear him say and talk about his innocence. So as my colleagues have said, we're thankful for today, to be here today and to have had this moment and time to share with him and to hear from him. And we hope that we will see that day, that he'll be given that chance to have this trial again and to really let his story be told. Thank you. Thank you.
Questions?
I have a question. I know that you were mentioning several times that just talking to him today, some of his truth hasn't been shared, his story hasn't been told. Is there something that he said today that kind of solidified to you guys that there needs to be a trial, there needs to be more steps taken?
Well, I just mentioned one of them. There's a number of troubling things about the case, the facts, and we've spent a lot of time over the past year, long before that, talking about those specific items. But again, what troubled me more than anything today is him pleading with his attorney in the initial trial to share his side of the story in front of the jury. And I know, criminal law defense attorneys discourage the accused from getting up in front of a jury, but Robert asked to do that. One of the things that we need to consider very strongly in terms of reforms going forward is when someone is accused of, charged with capital murder, where the prosecution is going to seek the death penalty, especially when the prosecution is going to seek the death penalty, those defendants ought to have the best of the best lawyers. They absolutely should be afforded the best of the best counsel, because we're talking about depriving someone of their constitutional right to life. And they are innocent until proven guilty. And when I hear Robert Roberson look me in the eye today and tell me they wouldn't let me tell my side of the story at the trial, and he didn't even know at that time that he has autism, and so he didn't know he could argue with his lawyer. He didn't know he could go to the judge and say, I want to speak. He didn't know any of that. His lawyer just said, sit down and shut up. That's wrong. That's wrong. And that fact, more than any, needs to be out there and needs to be considered by the people who still have the opportunity to make this wrong right.
What does it say about the system that something as simple, or at least from where I understand it seems simple, request a new trial? Why is a simple request like that like a bridge too far? Like nothing budges.
There's no, I don't know how to answer.
Ask our colleagues who are intent on seeing him executed next week. I don't know the answer.
Exactly. I don't think any of us know how to answer that. But I think when you have organizations, even Crime Stoppers, advocating for a new trial for Robert, that should make everyone push pause. That should make everyone take a look at this case closer. There is nothing wrong with giving a new trial, not a single thing. A bunch of Crime Stoppers and a lot of organizations and individuals are not saying let him go, not saying release him, saying a new trial. So the four of us up here don't really know how to answer that question as to why is that a bridge too far, because for, I'd say, reasonable people, it is not. Our justice system depends on fair trials and due process. Robert was afforded neither of those.
I have a question. What are the next steps now? I know the execution date is set for the 18th, and you guys met with him today. The 16th. You guys met with him today. So talk to me about what is the next step if nothing is done in the next few days.
So from a legal perspective, Robert has pending appeals in front of not only the Court of Criminal Appeals, but the Fifth Circuit. Ultimately, our hope and our prayer is that those decision makers, those judges, will step back from all the noise and will actually look at the facts and the pleadings of not only Robert's counsel, but of the Attorney General's office, which I believe is woefully insufficient to merit going forward with an execution next week. Those are Robert's two best chances right now to have the execution stayed. we have, of course, we're praying for a miracle, but I think from a legislative perspective, other than speaking out, I'm not sure there's anything procedurally we can do. I'm trusting the system that has failed. We are trusting a system that has failed Robert, and importantly, failed Nikki. The system has failed Nikki as well. It is not just. It is not right. The system is not working when a potentially innocent man, Nikki's father, who talked to us so wonderfully about his relationship with Nikki and his care and concern for her as her dad. It is not just for the wrong man to be executed. So for Robert, and more importantly for Nikki, our hope is that those courts will do the right thing.
And I can add, for Texans, you need to continue to look at this case and speak up. So push past the noise. Don't just assume because he's on death row that means he's guilty. Let's look at the case. Let's look at how the science has evolved and speak up. And also the governor has the ability to step in. The governor can grant a stay. He can do that 30-day stay and push the courts to take another look. And so we need to make sure all options are on the table. And us as concerned citizens of Texas need to know that before a life is taken in our name, the people have taken the time to truly look at how this case has evolved over the 23 years. And the whole point of the 2013 junk science law was to look at changes like this. And if Robert's case isn't being upheld for a new trial under that, then the system isn't working. We need to make sure the system works for all of us.
And one thing that I would like to make perfectly clear that we keep hearing is that Nikki was beaten so viciously. That is the state's new argument. That is an absolute provable lie. Originally, the state's claim was that it was shaken baby. Well, then under junk science statute, he gets a new trial. Or is it what the state is now saying, that she was beaten so viciously that it crushed her skull? Well, the pictures after Nikki passed away and the CT scans show that that is a flat out lie. So which is it? Does he get a new trial, or are you lying? Which one is it? It can't be both.
Take maybe one more.
I have another question. You mentioned briefly that if this were to happen, if he were to get executed, that this looks bad on the state of Texas. What kind of precedent do you think this sets if his execution does go through?
I'm choosing to believe that's not going to happen. So, I'm choosing to believe that's not going to happen. And so, with all due respect, I'm not even going to answer the question because I don't want to speak that into existence. I'm choosing to believe that the right thing will be done between now and next Thursday. And it's important to note, as the other representatives said, that if Robert's execution is stayed and he's given a new trial, you know where he's going to be? He's going to stay right here. He's going to stay right here in this maximum security prison in solitary confinement for 23 and a half hours a day alone. He's not going anywhere. He's going to stay right here, except for the moment when he gets to go up to Anderson County in front of a jury of his peers or wherever the trial may be heard to tell his side of the story. So I'm choosing to believe that's what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that it will. Maybe take one more.
Any final questions? Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all.
And I think we could be available for some one-on-ones maybe if people have time.
Yeah.
Thank
God bless
y'all.
y'all. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Which one are you? You're this one, right? Yes. No, I'm the little one. This little ring. Oh.